Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back again with a video, just kind of some random thoughts that I typed, and I'm just gonna summarize them and then make them into a video. So I watched a little bit of the debate last night. I hate to call that a debate, whatever that was. It's basically just they're just trolling each other, and it's to me, it's just obvious that what I see in that is the same as what I see in media, corporate media, and all that kind of stuff. And then in the flat earth, ball earth debates, it's the same thing. I just see the whole world is just filled with trolls that are just taking opposite sides and then like just arguing about it for hours and stuff and all that kind of stuff. So that's just, to me, that's really all this world offers. So Trolls versus Trolls is a good channel to sub to, and then also be aware of the fact that that's the entire world, or shills versus shills or whatever. It's the same thing. And so, that was just nonsense. And then I had to post that on my LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn is probably the biggest reach that I have, just because everybody knows me or has some interaction with me. So it's more personal than a post on YouTube where, I haven't met anybody, personally on this platform, and don't want to meet many of the people that I've come across, to be totally honest. A few would be fine, but most people, they're just insane. But so I went to LinkedIn, and then, in these kind of moments, I'm like, I got nothing to lose because this is so absurd that what I saw. And then I posted, a little snippet like, this is just a clown show, like we should be embarrassed as like Americans and all that kind of stuff. And then 2 people liked it, and so one was Canadian, and I thought that was amazing. And then I've seen other people post similar things like how stupid that was, that debate. So it's embarrassing what we witnessed. So, but that's a reflection of America. It's just a bunch of people who don't know anything, or they do know things, but they're just not allowed to talk about truth, absolute truth. And then they just talk in circles. I call them ticklers, talking circlers. And so we just have those 2 people as our candidates for the most important office in the world or whatever. God controls all these people. So what God is doing is he's just making this world more and more obvious that we're in hell. And that's what the Bible teaches. And it's very, very literal to me every single day. And so, this to me is very, very pro-Bible, that the lies and just the leadership is just so absurd. And so the amazing thing is like that we have a lot of, I would say, leverage now with God. And then the Bible is kind of being put in a corner in many, many ways, because it says the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, and it actually explicitly says he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. So we see this, this narrative, this requirement really for most people to like wear a mask is Bible prophecy, and it's from an evil leadership structure that has rulership over the entire earth. And so the mark of the beast makes that obvious. This again is the lead up to that. But, we know that the entire world is run by evil people. And so this puts us in a strong position, I would say, for those people here on earth who want the Bible to come true, the book of Revelation in particular, is that really the next worldwide initiative, really no matter what it is, we're not allowed to take part in it. Whether it's masks, vaccines, contact tracing, obviously the mark of the beast, anything in the body or in the hand or anything. And so that's the leverage, I would say, that people have. And that's why we should have a lot of confidence that, that Christ will return soon. Because the next worldwide initiative, which literally is happening right now, it's undeniable that this thing, everything, the whole world stopped on a drop of a dime for like the flu. And so we're not allowed to take part in it because, it's given to us by evil leadership. And so any aspect of people taking part in this and then God saying, no, it's okay, go ahead and take part in it, means that God's a liar. Because then if God wants us to even get involved in this even a little bit, then we could accuse him of being a liar. And we know that God is not a liar, because he, like I read and everywhere in the Bible, Job 9:24, and then the mark of the beast and all that, we're not allowed to take part in anything worldwide at all. And so that hopefully is obvious, and like, even if it seemed virtuous, like let's say they said everybody has to go and donate or do some volunteer work or plant a tree or something like that. We're not allowed to do that because we don't know what they're really trying to do, and like what their real objective for that. And it could just simply be mockery, just proving that they have control over people, even if it's something virtuous, much less a mask, a vaccine, a mark of the beast. Like, that's absurd. And so we're not allowed to take any request from an evil person. That's a fact. And so it looks like, thankfully, a lot of the world, even the normie Americans, are waking up to this clown show. And that's great. That's great news for the Bible, and great news for those who are anticipating Christ's return, which, again, I don't see how. I mean, it should have happened yesterday, in my opinion, but it can't be far away, just from a practical perspective. And then End Times Teacher did a video on sequence of the end times, and I'll do a commentary on that. But the most important key that he's not allowed to discuss, the verses that he's not allowed to talk about, are the fact that it's going to be a calm time when Christ returns. And that's very, very important, especially America, because if America's in shambles, the whole world is screwed, because like it says in Revelation 17:18, we buy everything. So, if we're all screwed up and no one's, can eat and afford things, everybody, then the whole world, the whole supply chain gets messed up. So that verse that talks about when Christ says that people are going to be giving into marriage is referring to America. It has to. And so, that's why, again, America has to be Mystery Babylon, because it's the only place that it's like the epicenter, really, of all consumption. And so we literally are the heartbeat, of this world right now, and that's by design, clearly by God. And so, America has to be in a somewhat calm state. There cannot be famines yet, and all that kind of stuff, like on a countrywide scale or anything like that. None of that. That doesn't make sense. Like, even like a normie would realize, okay, I got bigger issues than getting married and planning my wedding ceremony than, if there's like massive food shortages and all that kind of stuff. So just know that that's what Christ is getting at. There's going to be a large group of people who are just going to be, just fed a narrative that everything's fine, and obviously the corporate media plays a big, big part in that. And then lots of people, even religious people, who are only allowed to consume what comes from the media, and in particular, a lot of the Hebrew Israelites, they're only allowed to talk about what comes out of CNN and Fox News. They're not allowed to go to Russian bids and all that kind of stuff. And so, even quote truthers, they're just, they're extensions of the government. So, it has influence, obviously, and then people will believe whatever is fed, even if we know it's just complete nonsense. And so that's a big part of how things are going to be kept sort of, or people are going to be told that everything's fine when it obviously is not. So there's already things happening on a smaller scale, that show that America is very much crumbling. But of course, that's not going to be in the mainstream and all that kind of stuff. And so, the signs are very much there that, we're on the decline, on the down slope. So that should be very, very obvious, but just know we're not allowed to take part in anything worldwide at all, because then we could accuse God of being a liar, and he's not a liar, and so then he doesn't want us to play dumb. That would be stupid. Any God that would want us to just play dumb, like, what kind of God is that? It's like, well, then if we have to play dumb here, then when we're around him, we have to play stupid when we're in the presence of, perfection and brilliance and all that. It's like, what kind of God is that? It's like, we're around brilliance, and like all that, and like he just wants to be brilliant and just like make sure that we always stay stupid. Does that make sense? Does that seem like what the God of the Bible is all about? That doesn't make sense to me at all. And that's not even the way some caring smart people here on earth, much less the Heavenly Father and his Son. And so God is infinitely more humble than any smart person who will actually teach you things here. And we live in hell. This is a disgusting place. So we would not expect that from God. He doesn't want us to play dumb. For the few people that can hear this, don't listen to these people who are on YouTube. They're just stupid, just flat out retarded. Pretty much everybody, just out of their mind. And Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. And it has to be in the hands of the wicked, because look what they did to Christ. For his message of love and forgiveness and all that kind of stuff. Love your enemies and all that. How could a world deem that to be worthy of death, except we're in an evil place, hell, the hands of the wicked, and that kind of thing. So it's very, very clear that this is the fulfillment of it, and this is the expression of it almost fully bloomed. There's only a little bit left, and then it will be the mark of the beast for sure, because that's getting into a person's body. And however that will allow them to control just people. Even like 10 people doing that would be would be like, well, we have like stupid people on earth, and like much less like it being successful with a majority of people on earth, which is what the Bible implies, that will be the case. And so we know we're surrounded by zombies, and that kind of thing. So just know that. And so, the thing about this quote secret rapture that I talk about, this appearance of Christ, it makes sense to me more and more that this is the way it's going to be, because this group that's taken away, the world will not care at all. It's not going to be a large group of people, and it's not going to be the Christian church or the leaders of these Hebrew Israelites and all that kind of stuff, because they're all actors. And so it's going to be people that the world doesn't even notice, at all. Like they'll like I've read in Jeremiah, there's certain like people are just homeless, and like just they're on the streets, they're blind, lame, and all that. And then there'll be people that are just like under the radar, that kind of thing. So it's gonna carry on. Like everything's just gonna continue on just as normal. And then, but the major difference here on earth is there'll be 2 witnesses here on earth, feet on the ground. And so just know that, like it's even some of the Hebrews, I think Einop from Good Samaritans was talking about Project Bluebeam and all that kind of stuff. So even like amongst the leadership in the truth community, obviously Russian Vids thinks that those people are like aliens or something like that. Like the truth community is a major asset to God's left-hand side. Just know that, because they're going to give you a lot of truth, but they're also going to feed in lies. And so anybody who believes that like a visitor who would come and take away like a lot of homeless people and poor people and people in destitute condition is like evil or something, that person's stupid. And so we'll know, and the Bible says this, that the quality of God's elect will be seen, and so just know that, whatever God takes anybody away, the people that are taken away reflect that God. And so if people like Ken Hovind are taken away, then that God's deceptive. If people like Tahar are taken away, then that God's an animal and a baboon. If people like Sakari are taken away, then they're all like liars or rappers or whatever the hell they're trying to do, just talking stupid madness every day. And so people like Good Servant, who are just stupid, are taken away, don't know anything about the Bible. And so whoever's taken away, that they reflect that God. And so that's why it's very, very important for any of us who want to be taken away to be, do what we can to feel to some small degree that we're worthy of being in that presence of that God and to be reflective of his character, and so just know that. And so I just want people to know that this rapture, this pre-plague rapture that I talk about, it's not for very many people, and the world will not be bothered by the fact that those people are gone at all. And so just know that. And so another thing that I want to talk about, this is like a very kind of minor thing, but just again, it should be very, very obvious to people, is that to me, this means that the Bible is true and that we're in the end times, because Christ said he's the truth. And so if Christ says he's the truth, then anything that's a lie is against him. And so if we measure the truth as being Christ, then Christ makes a bold claim that anybody that is pursuing truth and all that is actually pursuing him. And so that's the first thing. And so if the quote truth community is against Christ, then what do we have? Then it's like we obviously have the government and like the very obvious people on God's left-hand side, but what if the quote truth community is also against Christ? And so one message that I was reading, Globebusters, who's now a moderator on Ranty's channel, which shows that Ranty's just totally lost now, if he wasn't already. That's a bad move. And no one should take that seriously once Ranty does that. He wipes away everybody's wrenches, but he gives Globebusters, Bob, who's like pro baller with his like ring laser gyro. We know he's an actor and a Satanist. He gives him a wrench. And so I read a comment where Globebusters is, I think he's talking to Flat Earth Data, like, oh, I saw some video of you like pointing out how people are linked to 33 within the Flat Earth International Conference, the Conference Earthers. And he's like, oh, that made people upset or whatever. And it's like, it was this close to like getting you out of the FE community. And I wrote kind of generically, I didn't put Bob in the message, but I'm like, getting kicked out of the quote FE community is like a good thing. And so that message got deleted. He didn't block me from the channel, but I'm blocked from Oakley's channel because Arwen's like, why don't you just take yourself out? Like, just get away. And then he just deleted all my block me from Oakley's channel because he's a mod, which also shows what's going on with Oakley. And, then I was like, yeah, my sister used to say that, like, to me growing up, when she was like, saw that I was into religion and all that, she's like, why don't you just go away, and all that kind of stuff. And so he deleted all those comments, and so I want people to know that everything about the God of the Bible is being protected. And so the flat earthers are just generally speaking non-Bible people. And then the quote Hebrew Israelites, they're all ball earthers, and so they'll bring out some truth, but they have to be ball earthers. And then the flat earthers are bringing out truth with the flat earth, but then they're not Bible people. And so God makes it obvious, I want people to know that. And so if the truth community is censoring people, then what's left? Like, there will be no progress at all. And so I want people to know that has to be by design, by Christ, or else, it just doesn't make sense, at all. So again, to me, all those kind of things, I'm not complaining because I don't care, about, being able to interact with those groups at this point, but that's all I can take from that, is that if they're like kind of gatekeeping on the truth community, then this has to be the end times. And then if they are, then it would be why. Like, for me, I'll just ask myself, well, why? What's the logical reason for that? Except they're gatekeeping something important, and then it has to be a spiritual thing that's happening, because that's not the way normal people interact. Like, if I make a generic comment, I didn't even put Globebusters in the message, like tag him, like, why would he delete that? What's wrong with me saying that if you get kicked out of the FE community, that's like a blessing, and I was like sticking up for, I think it was Flat Earth Data, because he's into some of those like numerology type things. And I mean, you don't even need to know that they're all just like they're non-Bible people, they're non-religious people, they're all simulation, Mandela, anything non-Bible, they're down with it. Arwen is the same, Good Servant's the same. So, they're not gonna, the fact that they're protecting those kind of things, or like, censoring people like myself who speak very openly about the Bible, and then point out, like all these kind of controlled groups, then to me there's got to be a reason for that, like a spiritual reason. And that when that's there, it has to be God that's doing that. If it's on like a broad scale, even if it involves like 200 people, or whatever size the conference earthers are, that has to be God, because they're obviously like a coordinated group, and they all seem to be, again, on the same team, like Ranty and Globebusters and all that. So Ranty can rest well at night knowing that Bob has a wrench, on his channel, because then no real accusation can be made about the fact that we know that they're all actors and all that kind of stuff. So it's the same. I went on one of Zabok's live streams, and I was like, are you guys teaching flat stationary earth yet? And they're like, no, we don't teach the flat earth here. And I'm like, why not? And he's like, stick to the topic. The moderator's like, we're not talking about that, stick to the topic. And I just like went away. And so that's like, why is that? Why else would people do that except God is behind this, needing these gatekeepers to make sure the truth doesn't get distributed. The truth is only allowed to come down to individuals. We're not allowed to get it back up and out to a broad audience. That's not what God wants. And I've just come to accept that. And then since that mechanism is in place and I see it everywhere, then, I mean, what else can explain that except God? And so, again, very highly likely the God of the Bible. And so to me, it would be very, very strange if all these truths would come out, like even just the fact that everybody knows that Biden and Trump are actors, just that alone. And like really all the leaders of the world are just actors. But, there's no real reason for it. It's like the entire world knows that, again, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. But, God doesn't come and rescue. It's just like, he just like lets whatever happen, that kind of thing. Like, I don't know. To me, that would be very, very strange existence. What would be the point of uncovering truths to people? Like, just leave us all on the spinning ball, which obviously we don't live on. But I don't know. Then it's just, at least you can sort of have like somewhat of a, not a life, but like function a little bit in the world. But I don't know, God's making it more and more obvious every day that we're not allowed to be involved in this, this worldwide anything, like I said earlier. And so he's kind of making it like we're being isolated and more every day. And so to me, if that's not for a specific purpose, then I'm very, very confused, by then. I think a lot of people would be. And so just know that there's all these like little cults and groups and all that kind of stuff. And the few people that would be drawn to the things that I share here, we reject all those structures, like we know because they're just telling us that they're stupid. Like I almost wish sometimes it would be more subtle, but every group on earth is just brain dead. Like the flat earth community are filled with idiots. And like I said, non-Bible people. The Hebrews are filled with just the most, they've sensualized and like sexualized the entire gospel. And then, selling masks and making raps and stuff like that. And like just not telling anybody the truth. And then like, getting tithes for, prostitutes. And then Zabok's talking about some kind of event and, whatever, like go camp out or something. Like they're just like flat out stupid and not teaching anything about the Bible, and then just contradiction after contradiction. The Christian church is completely insane, and so people like Good Servant, who's a flat earther, still think that God is working with the entire Christian church worldwide when they're just loaded with just zombies, and agents and just people who don't care about any truth, much less like the truths in the Bible. And so, like, I don't know, like, to me, it's just so obvious. And like all the other religions, like, they're just government people. Like whatever the government says, they'll do it, like Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, whatever, they'll just, whatever the government says, just slap a mask on and all that. So this mask thing is just showing how really stupid the entire world is. And so now it's like, it almost abstracts away from like religion and ideologies and stuff. It's like, we literally can see the people who are just stupid, like just flat out, like, and I'm trying to be sensitive to the fact that people have to maybe wear one when they work and all that. But it's, for me, if that ever happened, and it won't, because I can never literally have a job in this world anywhere. It's my life, before that. And so I think there's enough people out there that would be the same, if their work ever required them to wear one throughout the day. Man, I was like standing in a line in Chipotle like a few days ago. They have these, like, again, 666, 6 feet markers along the thing. And then, first of all, no one's obeying the 6 feet thing. And then everybody in the line is just like me. Like, they'll wear it, but they'll, like, put it down beneath their face. And, like, all the people in the back, it's like they're sweating and, like, they're wearing a mask. They're probably wearing it, like, all day because they have to actually keep it over their face and stuff. Like, no one cares. Like, no one's taking this seriously. It's so stupid. And, for like the flu or whatever, which obviously we don't even know for sure if it's actually physical. And then if it is, it's like clearly lab made and then lab corrected. And so it's just dumb. Like the whole thing's stupid. And so like no one's taking this seriously. And so again, to me, like I would be very, very shocked if the God of the Bible is not true, at this point. And this generation is the one where we see him, Christ's return. All eyes will see him. And so, to me, again, so like I said, Christ saying that he's the truth is kind of, the Bible's in a corner just because, like what I said, all the people teaching it are mentally retarded. And it doesn't mean that what I'm teaching is true. We have to see it, just like I have to see it. Like, I'm not going to believe it just and push it like I know. Like, I want to see it too, with my own eyes. And so whatever interpretation that I gave. And so, but these other groups are like, they're just, again, overtly retarded and expressing it, regularly. And so, but so the Bible's in kind of a corner. The Most High's in a corner because the God of the Bible loves the poor from the beginning to end. There's poor people everywhere, and it's increasing, unfortunately, every day. And then Christ said he is the truth, the way, the truth, and the life. And so now Christ is in a corner because, if he says that he's the truth, and we have all these lies on earth that, again, are so obvious to even non-religious people, then, what do we make of this? It's like, what are we supposed to do? Again, play dumb, and just like pretend like Trump and Biden are like, that's like, it's just a joke. Like, it's like literally a Saturday Night Live episode, and they know it too. I want people to know that. They know that they're just trolling each other, obviously. And they're not talking about anything serious, and that's their point. That's their objective. Just like on the Flat Earth, Ball Earth debates, the objective is to make sure to not get to a unique solution. And then theirs is to not talk about finances, and money, and how it's obviously in like 2,500 people's hands across Flat Earth. And like, that's not going to change. And like, what's the solution now? Print even more? Guess where they're going to go? They're not going to get distributed. And then even if it did get distributed fairly, they've already printed way too much. So like you can't just print money forever and just expect that to work. And so that doesn't make sense. And so those, like, everybody has their topics that they're not allowed to talk about. And so, and the things that they're not talking about to me are obvious. And so for lots of people. And so everybody, when you read the comments below, like, airlines are getting a bailout, we're like, wait a minute, why are the airlines getting a bailout and not the people who actually fly, on those planes? Why not give them money so they can actually afford to go on a trip somewhere and like see their loved ones that they haven't seen for like 8 months? And so that would make more sense. But, like, people are catching on, how this is obviously very, very lopsided and stupid. and that kind of thing. And then I saw like a posting on LinkedIn of a person who has a PhD, and he's working as a material handler for FedEx. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like what else do we need? Like, I mean, my jobs are stupid too that I've done, so I'm not trying to make fun of him, but I was like, that's pretty telling, like the only job that's available for someone who's spent all those years to get a PhD, I think it was in geology or geophysics, is to like go and like move packages around for FedEx, because really the only economy that we have is like buying things off the internet, and then that's it. From some other country that they're being enslaved and put in like horrendous working conditions to make. And that's literally like a main chunk of our economy. And so what else can a person do is like get involved in that, somewhere in that supply chain, to bring packages to people, because that's all we have, and that kind of thing. And so End Times Teacher mentioned something about how in Revelation 17 and 18, like after America is destroyed, all the merchants and stuff are going to look at America and be like, whoa, like who's going to buy our stuff now? So I want people to know right up until America is destroyed, packages are still going to come here. I want people to know the beginning of the end times is going to be calm. And even the end, there's definitely going to be food shortages and all that, and death, mourning, and famine, but there's still going to be people, like here transacting, and all that kind of stuff. And some buying things, and so it's only until America is destroyed do the merchants say, well, okay, now we can't sell to them anymore, and that kind of thing. And then at the end of it, according to my sequence, the two witnesses are killed, and then people are still going to be sending packages, cheering, like, okay, well, finally we got rid of them, like we can breathe now. But so again, that package infrastructure is going to be there, right from now until the end of the prior to America being destroyed. And so I just know that, this economy of just people sending stuff, gifts to one another, is a major, major aspect of Bible prophecy in America, being the main consumer of all these goods. And so just know that God had to have set this up. Why would God do that? He didn't need to, like, make one country the main consumer of all the goods. Like, why not? Why not just make the goods here? Why not make them somewhere else? And, all that kind of stuff. Make certain countries somewhat self-sustaining and all that. He just made it so the whole world is interconnected and really just feeding us garbage, like just a whole bunch of different goods and all that kind of stuff. Like, so everybody can get a new phone or a new set of golf clubs or a new whatever every single year, a new tennis racket or whatever. So that has to be by design. And so I highly doubt that Revelation 17 and 18 made just a lucky guess that there will be a major, major consumer on earth, and then just by coincidence, they will house the so-called Negroes and the Israelites, being enslaved here as well, and then exhibit all the same characteristics as ancient Sodom, and ancient Egypt. And so that, to me, it would be pretty big, pretty big coincidence at this point. It's not funny, but so yeah, I mean, to me, like, I guess I can respond to End Times' video really in this video with what I just said. That's really all I wanted to add to that, because he's looking out for the mark of the beast, or like famines and all that, which will then, quote Jacob's trouble, then lead to the mark of the beast. And I'm saying that, that it's going to be, Christ's second coming, exchanging the 144,000 for the two witnesses. And so that's a major difference, and so I, again, from a very practical perspective, don't think that it can get to whatever he's talking about, because there's a lot of people, not just me, we're living day to day. Like if there's even like a hint towards food shortages or anything like that, or people contact tracing coming door to door, I'm not going to be here for that. Like, again, I'm not trying to recommend this to people, because people have other people to take care of, but I'm not getting anywhere near that. I already know that this is a sinking ship. I don't want any part of this place anywhere near that kind of stuff. And it's not far, and he makes a good, just from his channel, is he's pointing out, yeah, these things are close, and Dabu 77's pointing all this. It's like, it's just obvious. Zero Hedge, like, has no shortage of stuff to write about and all that. So again, these things are not far away. And then if America doesn't have, quote, buying power, then the whole world just stops, and so just know that that's why America is experiencing this Corolla thing more, because God's judgment's starting here first. And so, China's kind of back to normal, flying again, not internationally, but their domestic flights are back and all that. And so this is all Bible prophecy, where people are going to be forced back into their native lands, and they're going to have to stay there. And so, again, this is all Bible prophecy, coming to pass. and in particular Second Ezra, where it's just literally like here, and so for anybody who says the Apocrypha is not canonical, that's a person that doesn't understand the Bible, and they don't understand numerology, because without the Apocrypha you have 66 books, and that's not a good number. And so all those things that are happening are consistent with every book, in the Bible and the Apocrypha. And so that's the times that we live in now. And so for me, what to look out for is Christ's second coming. And so but it's not going to be for very many people, and it's not going to be a big deal in terms of like the number of people that are taken away. And so the Hebrews, a lot of the leaders, they'll still be here, and so they'll make up something like, oh, that was Project Bluebeam, like that couldn't have been, that's just quote Esau doing that, playing tricks in the sky or whatever. And then the Christian church will like not know what that is, because they don't know that Christ returns on UFOs. And so they'll be like, well, those are aliens and all, like, good servant and all that. He'll just believe whatever the government tells him, because he's on who knows how much medication this guy's on. He doesn't read the Bible and take any of it literally. He thinks hell is some spiritual dimension out in La La Land and all that kind of stuff. And then the Hebrews think hell is like a mental condition, which is also stupid. And so there's a few of us that know that this physical earth that we stand on is hell, and the dome and all that. Everything in here, physical and spiritual, is hell. And so what are we going to camp out here? That doesn't make sense. And so that's stupid. And then the God of the Bible, who would want us to stay here and camp out, is also stupid, if that's the case. And so, but I want people to know that's not the case. And so that's what I believe will happen, and I don't know, like, again, I don't see why it could not happen any day now. It's just, that's what it is. It's like, again, kind of all of this revolves around the two witnesses. I think the Christian church will say that it's literal, but it's going to be in Israel or something like that, or like could happen anywhere, but it's like the Left Behind saints or something like that, which to me is insane. That's not the case, because the majority of the Christian church don't understand that America's Mystery Babylon. And so it's the focus, it's literally the epicenter of the entire book of Revelation, except the wrath of God, which destroys America first, and then there's a battle in the Middle East. But God protects the remnant, which are in that area. And so, the main chunk of the devastation is headquartered here, 1,260 days with two witnesses here in America. And then the rest is just kind of like cleanup. It's like 30 days of wrath. And then this 1260 is also part of the wrath, but the mass sort of destruction worldwide is 30 days. And then there's, 45 days of miracles for the remnant. And so, the journey that they're making and all the things that God's going to do for them, and all that kind of stuff. So again, to me, it sounds outlandish. Again, really anything like this, where God is intervening, is outlandish for a lot of us, because we've never had experiences like that. But to me, it makes a lot of sense, just because the entire world to me is just filled with actors, and like the way I define an actor is a Bible non-literalist. And they'll be literal about some things, of course, but a Bible literalist like myself is like, very different than a Bible non-literalist, which I just pretty much think is almost everybody, except maybe a few people. But, and I don't know, what their position is on certain things. But, to me, again, that would be very, very strange if the entire world, for some reason, is kind of cool with like non-literalists, but put up with them, but for some reason really, really hate the literalists. And then that's just kind of a coincidence. That wouldn't make sense to me, and so to me, that's just pro-Bible, because who can decide that somebody will have that mindset except God, programming them to be that way? And so it'd be an amazing thing to know how we did that. He's clearly doing it, because I see it, but how we did that, I don't know. And then why, we don't have a full answer, but I don't know. For the few people that are Bible literalists, I think it's a great time to be one, because I don't know, if the Bible's true, then it has to express itself literally, can't hide itself anymore. And so in the very least, it has to come through with the fact that all eyes will see him, even those who pierced him. And so I don't know, to me, like, this has to be really the age that the Bible speaks, or it never will, and then because people don't care right now, so how are they going to care next year, the year after, and the year after, and all that kind of stuff? So to me, we have to be living in those days. And I would just say, for people, come out of these cults, like, don't think that you're going to get any position being in one of these groups, because all the groups on earth are just designed to deceive, you know, and they're telling us that explicitly, whether they're being ball earthers or teach the non-virgin birth or teach white Jesus or teach, there's one antichrist popping out, which is absolutely stupid. If anybody believes that right now with the times that we live, we had 2 antichrists debating last night. And so I found 2 of them. So like, why would there only be one? That's really, really dumb. What's that one antichrist going to pop up and say? And like, is he going to go against these 2? So, but if that one antichrist pops up and goes against Trump and Biden, then he's going to be righteous because he's going to speak out and call them Satanists. How popular is that person going to be? Let's be honest. Like, let's use our brain here for the 501c3 Christians who are mentally retarded, like Good Servant and Tom Parker and all these idiots. Let's say there's one, let's hypothetically put that one antichrist popping up somewhere in the world. What's that person going to do? Is he going to align with Trump and Biden and all them, which we know are on the same team? Or is he going to go against them and call them a Satanist? And so if he goes against them and calls them a Satanist, what network is he going to get on TV? How are we going to ever know about this person? That kind of thing. People don't even like when even people like me call other people actors. Like even Russian vids and stuff like that. If you call somebody an actor, people don't want to hear that kind of language because then it's like, okay, you can call them an actor, but everybody that falls in that narrative also an actor. So that's like a majority of the world. And so that's not language even the truth community likes. So how is like anybody else going to like fall for that kind of thing, you know? And like, that doesn't make sense, you know, and that kind of thing. So there are a lot of actors, you know, on this earth right now. It's just to me very, very obvious. And so I don't know if that that could be just a massive coordination worldwide of just people who are acting and being Bible non-literalists, or the Bible is literal and it's about to express it's literally true very, very soon. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.